Hi guys, I'm back with another few chapters of Renee Watson's Piecing Me Together. I'm going to pick up on chapter 54, which is called La Primavera, which means spring. Sometimes I just want to be comfortable in this skin, this body. Want to cock my head back and laugh out loud and free, all my teeth showing, and not be told I'm too rowdy or too ghetto. Sometimes I just want to go to school, wearing my hair big, like cumulus clouds, without getting any special attention, without having to explain why it looks different from the day before, why it might look different tomorrow. Sometimes I just want to let my tongue speak the way it pleases, let it be untamed and not bound by rules, want to talk without watchful ears listening to judge me. At school, I turn on a switch, make sure nothing about me is too black. All day I am on. And that's why sometimes after school, I don't want to talk to Sam or go to her house, because her house is a reminder of how black I am. It's the weekend before spring break. I promised to go over to sit with Sam while she packs for her trip to Costa Rica. She leaves tomorrow. Right now, she is in the attic getting a suitcase. I am in the living room with her grandfather. "So what do you think of the Natasha Ramsey incident?" he asks. I'm not sure how to answer his question because nothing but pain will pour out. I tell him I'm really sad about it. I tell him sad because I think white people can handle black sadness better than black anger. I feel both, but sadness gets sympathy, so I stick with that. "It's really a shame," Mr. Franklin says. "If you ask me, I think all cops need training on race relations. That girl was just being a teenager, and teenagers shouldn't be brutalized for acting their age." When he says this, the tension in my chest dissolves. "I don't know what it's going to take for this country to live up to its promise," Mr. Franklin says. He shakes his head and sighs a deep sigh. Sam comes back from the attic, and I am eager to go to her room to talk about anything other than Natasha Ramsey. "Sorry it took so long," she tells me. We walk into her room. The floor is covered with jeans, shirts, belts, and sweaters. "I don't have any summer clothes to bring," Sam says. She folds a yellow t-shirt. "This is the only thing. Everything else will be too hot." "Well, what did you wear last summer?" I ask. "Well, nothing cute," Sam answers. She packs a pair of jeans. I scoot part of the pile over into one big mountain and sit on the floor. I'm really trying to be mature and not take my disappointment out on Sam. "Tell me about your trip to Costa Rica. What are you all going to do?" "Well, it's going to be more work than fun," she says. "Mr. Flores has us waking up early to volunteer at a school where we'll work with children and help out our teachers. We'll have to write a reflection in Spanish at the end of every day." I ask her, "You have to have some free time, right?" "Well, I think we're going ziplining or something at Manuel Antonio National Park. And I heard that we might hike through Monteverde, which doesn't sound that fun," Sam says. "I know it's famous for orchids or something, but I hate hiking, especially in the heat." Sam is not a good actress, but I appreciate that she's trying to downplay this trip. "Well, whatever you'll be doing, you'll be in Cartago, Costa Rica. Take pictures of everything. I want all the details when you get back. So what are you going to do during spring break?" "Well, I won't be going to Costa Rica," I say. "Are you mad I'm going?" "No, I'm mad I'm not going." "Jade, this isn't fair. You get chosen to do cool things all the time, and the one time the school chooses me for something, you get jealous?" Sam throws a bunch of tank tops into her suitcase. "Why does everyone think I get all the fun stuff?" I ask Sam. "SAT prep is not cool. Tutoring after school is not fun." "You're going to Costa Rica." "You went to the symphony. I've never been to the symphony." "You'd rather go to the Oregon Symphony than to Costa Rica?" Jade, I didn't think so. Sam opens her closet. There's a plastic shoe holder hanging from the back of the door. She pulls out a pair of flip-flops from one of the plastic sleeves and adds them to her suitcase. "Can we please talk about something else?" she says. "Why can't we talk about this?" I ask. "Why can't we talk about how unfair it is that at St. Francis, people who look like you get signed up for programs that take them to Costa Rica, and people who look like me get signed up for programs that take them downtown?" I want to get up right now, want to end the conversation and leave, but I can hear Maxine telling me to stop quitting, to work through the hard stuff. I try to get Sam to understand how I feel. That study abroad program, the one I should be a part of, isn't about giving a man a fish or teaching a man to fish. And there's no talk of a contaminated river because people like you own the river and the fish. What are you talking about? I don't own anything. Sam's eyes well up with tears. I don't like what you're saying, Jade. I've been nothing but a friend to you. Why can't you be happy for me just this once? All the times you've come to me bragging about everything you get to do with Maxine, I've always been happy for you. Bragging? You think I was bragging? I was just doing what friends do, sharing about my day, sharing my life with you. And I want to be able to share this with you. But how can I when you're moping around and making me feel guilty? I'm sorry you're not going, Jade. I want you to be there, but I can't change that. What do you want from me? Before I even answer, Sam's tears are falling, like she already knows she won't be able to give me whatever it is I'm about to ask for. And so now tears are tangled in my throat. Sometimes, Sam, I just want you to listen. Anytime I bring up feeling like I'm being treated unfairly because I'm a black girl, you downplay it or make excuses. You never admit it's about race. I don't think it always is, Sam says. Of course you don't, I say. You know nothing about being nominated into programs that want to fix you. Sam's face contorts into confusion. What do you mean? I can't control my breath. My chest heaves and words escape between shallow gasps. I just want to be normal. I just want a teacher to look at me and think I'm worth a trip to Costa Rica. Not just that I need help, but that I can help someone else. You keep saying we're not that different, but have you ever wondered why you don't get the same opportunities I get? She wipes her tears. I swallow mine. She keeps packing. I stand. I should go. I want to get on the bus before it's dark. Sam doesn't turn around, doesn't speak. She keeps packing. I know Maxine says there are some friends who are worth fighting for, but sometimes it's just easier to walk away. Have fun in Costa Rica, I tell her. I don't say, see you when you get back. Chapter 55, Miedo, which means fear. With a whole week off from school, there's plenty of time to hang with Lily and Andrea. We are tired of going to Jantzen Beach Shopping Center. For one, we don't have money to buy anything, and two, Lily's ex works at Target, and she doesn't want to run into him. Andrea says, let's walk to Columbia Park. You just want to see if Tyrell is there, Lily says. She puts on her shoes. Ain't nobody thinking about Tyrell, Andrea says. He's at work anyway. He gets off at 6 o'clock. Lily nudges me, laughing. For someone who's not thinking about him, she sure does know his schedule by heart. Andrea gets even more irritated once I start laughing, and that just makes us laugh harder. I tell her, you know you like him. Lily says, and he been wanting to date you, Andrea, so what's the problem? Just go on and get it over with. Andrea ignores us, acting like she can't hear a thing we're saying. She walks outside and waits on the porch until me and Lily are ready. Once we're outside, I take my camera out. Andrea is still in her funky mood. Jade, don't take no pictures of me without letting me know, she says. I tell her, candid shots are the best kind. I snap the button before she can disagree. Jade! I check the screen to see the photo. You look fine. Just act normal. We keep walking. The whole way I'm documenting the city, taking photos of strangers I've never seen, strangers I see every day, like the woman who is always sitting on her porch knitting something. Let's stop at Frank's, Lily says. The three of us put our money together. Frank ends up giving us extra wings, and he stuffs the white paper bag with JoJo's. I grab one of the free newspapers from the stand and put it into my bag. Inspiration for later. We walk out of the store eating and talking, first about Lily's ex, because even though she can't bear to see him, she can't stop talking about him. When we turn the corner just ahead of us, about a block away, we see a police car. Its lights flashing. We stop. White cops have pulled over a black man. We walk closer. Stop at enough distance not to be noticed, but close enough to be witness. I can hear Lily clutch the paper bag. Andrea's chest rises and rises. I grab the string of my camera, remind myself to use it if necessary. Everyone seems calm. There's no commotion, but still, I start taking photos. I don't know why, I just need to. The officer writes something on a notepad and then gives the slip of paper to the woman. He goes back to his car. She drives away. The three of us stand still. I hear rattling, something like crumpling paper. I look to my left and see Lily's hand is shaking. Her whole arm is having a fit. Her fist is clenching the bag like an anchor to keep her from falling to the ground. I tell her, it's okay. I take her hand, but she pulls away. It's okay, Lily. Come on, let's go. Lily looks at me like she heard me but didn't understand. We're okay, it's okay, I repeat. She's fine, she's fine. Lily walks. Andrea walks on the other side of her, putting her in the middle of us. I pry the bag out of Lily's hand, put her hand in mine, and let her squeeze it as hard as she needs to. We walk down the street, the three of us, hand in hand. It's okay, I say. We're fine. Everything's okay. Liberar, chapter 56, to release. I print the photos I took today. Leave all of them intact except the ones of the officers, their cars, those merry-go-round lights. Every tear I've been holding in goes onto the page. Tears for Mom's swollen ankles after a long day of work, for her jar of pennies. Tears for every almost, for everything that will be different next time. Tears for what happened with Mrs. Weber, the lady at the mall, the boys at Dairy Queen. I didn't realize how much I was holding in, how many cries I'd buried. I have no more room, so I let it all out. Tears for every name of unarmed black men and women I know of, who've been assaulted or murdered by the police, are inked on the page. Their names whole and vibrant against the backdrop of black sadness. Their names, so many, they spill off the page. Chapter 57, Silencio. I know Sam is back from Costa Rica. I sit on the bus, and the closer we get to her stop, the more my stomach turns. I don't know what to say to her, but I know I need to say something. The bus pulls up to her stop. A man gets on and walks all the way to the back, even though there are free seats closer to the front. A pregnant woman gets on and sits in the first available seat. Sam is not there. I think maybe she's exhausted from the trip, that she overslept and now is running late. I look out the window thinking I might see her running down the block, calling out for the bus not to leave, but she's not there. My stomach settles, but just a little. Sooner or later, we're going to have to talk. Not having Sam's company makes the ride seem longer. When I get to school, Sam is already there, which means she took an earlier bus or her grandpa dropped her off. I see her walking down the hall toward her first period class. Instead of running up to her and trying to start a conversation, I test out a wave to see what her response will be. She waves back, but there is no smile. There is no stopping and waiting for me to catch up with her so we can walk. And so I know her coming to school on her own this morning was not about being too tired to get up early. It was about not wanting to be with me. Chapter 58, Pieza por pieza, piece by piece. Today, Maxine takes me to the Esplanade. Sorry. I've never walked the whole thing, and I have a feeling Maxine is going to want to do just that because she is dressed in sweats and Nikes. Portland's Esplanade is a path for cyclists and pedestrians, and it goes along the Willamette River. I love seeing Portland's waterfront park and bridges all at once. Camera in hand, I take photos as we walk, capturing the boats on the water. A cyclist dings his bell, so we step aside. We find a bench and sit down. The Tillicum Crossing Bridge behind us, the Hawthorne Bridge in front of us. The sun is warm, but every few minutes, Portland's breeze embraces us. Maxine asks, "So what's been on your mind lately?" I tell her how I've been thinking about being stitched together and coming undone. Do you ever feel that way, I ask? Absolutely, Maxine says. Really? When I went to St. Francis, most people assumed that because I was Black, I must be on scholarship. I'm on scholarship, I remind her. I know, but you were awarded a scholarship because you are smart, not because you're Black, Maxine says. I got tired of people assuming things about me without getting to know me. Maxine squints and goes into her purse. She digs for a moment and then pulls out her sunglasses. Sometimes in class, if something about race came up, I was looked at to give an answer as if I could speak on behalf of all Black people, Maxine says. It was exhausting. Very exhausting, I say. A couple walks to the edge of the boardwalk and takes a selfie. I tell Maxine, I didn't think you dealt with any of that at St. Francis. Seems like you really liked it there. Maxine crosses her legs, leans back against the bench. I loved a lot about St. Francis, but just because I had a good experience there doesn't mean everything was perfect. Maxine scoots closer to me, lowers her voice, and says, and to be honest, not all of the negative messages were from white people. What do you mean, I ask. You remember my dad is in real estate, right? Well, when I was a little girl, like elementary school age, I'd overhear him tell his clients who were Black that they should take down the photos and artwork in their homes in order to have a better chance to sell. Really? Yeah. And I never heard him say that to white families. Maxine says, and so I don't know. I think I internalized all of that. She stops talking for a moment, like for the first time she is realizing something. I guess it made me feel like Blackness needed to be hidden, toned down, and that whiteness was good, more acceptable, Maxine says. Then she laughs as a memory comes to her mind. I remember being so embarrassed about having friends over to my house. Are you serious? Why? You have a nice house. It's like a mansion. Well, it's, Black. We laugh hard. I mean, the art on the walls, the food my family eats, Maxine explains. When I was in high school, I wasn't sure how my white friends would react. Remember, I grew up with parents who believed you should tone down your Blackness when in public. I didn't know how to function when the public came to my private home. I grew up feeling tremendous pride in our culture, what we as a people overcame and accomplished. But at the same time, there was this message from my parents telling me not to be too Black. At school, with my white friends and teachers, there were all these stereotypes I felt I had to dispel. And with a lot of my Black friends, I had to prove that I was Black enough, whatever that means. It was complicated, Maxine says. All this time, I've been thinking how easy Maxine has it, how she has no idea how I feel, what I go through. We start walking again, making our way back to the car. The boardwalk is crowded now, cyclists and joggers whizzing by. Every now and then we see two women speed walking and pushing strollers. Makes me wonder if they planned to get pregnant at the same time so they could have their children together. Makes me wonder if I will ever have a child, and if Lily will ever have a child, and if we'll ever push strollers and walk along a boardwalk together. Clouds are moving in. Maxine lifts her sunglasses up and nestles them into her hair. I ask Maxine, "What are you thinking about?" She smiles and says, "My grandmother. I'm thinking about how she'd say that sometimes it's just good to talk it out, you know?" Yeah. My grandmother called it bearing witness. She'd sit on the porch with her sister and talk the night away, sometimes gossiping, sometimes praying. I'd hear them confide in each other, telling each other things I knew I wasn't supposed to know anything about. Maxine hits the button on her keychain to unlock her door. We get in. I didn't get it as a kid. I mean, nothing got resolved necessarily, so I thought it was silly to just sit and rehash everything that was wrong with the world, Maxine says. Yeah, that's kind of depressing, I say. But I think what my grandmother was saying is that it feels good to know someone knows your story, that someone took you in, Maxine says. She'd tell me, it's how we heal. Chapter 59, Escuchar, which means to listen. The next time I see Maxine, it's for Woman to Woman's very first Money Matters workshop. We're having the meeting at a small church not too far away from my house. The pastor is letting us use the space. I love that I didn't even need to take a bus or get a ride from Maxine to get there. I love that once it gets started, Sabrina says, "I'd like to give a big thank you to Jade, who is the one who suggested today's workshop topic. So if you'd like today's session, you owe it to her." Jasmine starts clapping and then everyone joins in. Sabrina pauses, letting the applause fill the space. "I want you all to know that your feedback is welcome here. This is your program and we want you to get the most out of it." Sabrina introduces our guests for the day. The first person is Maxine's friend Bailey, which is a surprise to me. Maxine leans in and whispers to me, "I couldn't let you in on everything." Sabrina tells us Bailey is going to focus on how to make and manage your money in college. Then she says, AKA, don't get any credit cards. The panelists laugh and our mentors all respond with a chorus of agreement. Sabrina introduces the rest of the panelists and tells us this is the first of many conversations, so if your question doesn't get answered today, don't worry. By the end of the panel, my fingers are cramping because I've been taking notes nonstop. There are handouts, but I didn't want to write on them. I want to save them and share them with Mom and EJ and Lily. Bring back something other than food this time. Chapter 60, to anticipate, which is anticiparse, I think. I post my schedule on the fridge for Mom. I've put a big circle around the third Saturday of the month because that's when Woman to Woman is going to visit Maxine's sister's gallery. Sabrina was not playing around when she said she took our input seriously. Mia is going to talk to us about being an entrepreneur, and then we'll get a tour of her gallery. She's closing to the public that day, so it'll be just us. Mom teases me, "You can hardly wait, huh? Bet you are counting down the days." "No, I'm not," I tell her. But Mom knows me better than anyone else could ever know me. 3 more weeks, 21 days, 504 hours. And we'll do one more chapter, chapter 61, Las Manos, which means hands, or manos, I think. EJ has a gig DJing for a new restaurant. He works every Thursday and Friday night now, so usually it's only me at home. Maxine calls and asks what I'm up to. I tell her nothing. About to take out my braids so my mom can redo my hair. Want some company? 4 hands are better than 2, she says. I can help you take them out. I call my mom, ask if it's okay for Maxine to come over, and she doesn't mind. I tell Maxine to come over because I could really use the help. These braids are small and I don't feel like being up all night doing my hair. As soon as I hang up the phone, I realize I just agreed to let Maxine come over and stay a while. I am used to her stopping by for a moment to pick me up. Maybe look at my new art projects, but to stay for hours at a time? I get anxious about the things she'll see that maybe she hasn't noticed before, like how the dining room table isn't a real dining room table, and how none of the furniture matches, or how there's a crack in the ceiling, chipped paint on some of the walls. When Maxine gets to my house, I get a brown paper bag, open it, and set it on the floor next to the sofa. I go to the bathroom and return with 2 small combs, a pair of scissors, and a small squirt bottle full of water. Ready? I ask. Yep. Maxine grabs a throw pillow from the sofa and gives it to me. She sits on the sofa. I sit on the floor, propped up by the pillow between her legs. Maxine holds a handful of braids and clips the ends with the scissors. She starts unbraiding, throwing the used added hair into the bag. After my hair is unbraided, Maxine sprays my hair with water to make it easier to comb through. The mist tickles the back of my neck. She parts my hair into 4s, gathers the bottom section in her palm, and pulls the comb through my hair. It feels so good to get my hair combed, to feel the teeth raking gently against my scalp. I tie my hair up and clean up the living room. Maxine is just about to leave when Mom's key opens the door. Hi, Maxine, Mom says. Hey, Jade. She kisses me on the cheek. Then she looks at my scarf. You still want me to braid your hair tomorrow? We better get started on taking that down. It's getting late. I take my scarf off. Maxine helped me. Mom looks at me. Well, let me comb it out for you. She did, I tell her. Oh, Mom says. Well, that was nice of you, Maxine. Mom's face is smiling, but her voice is not. No problem at all, Maxine says. Mom walks into the kitchen. Well, since you don't need me to do your hair, guess I'll get dinner started unless Maxine already fed you. I haven't eaten yet, I say. I better go so you all can have dinner, Maxine says. Mom comes back to the living room. You don't have to leave, Maxine. Stay for dinner. Oh no, you two haven't seen each other all day. I insist, Mom says. Okay, well, thanks. Maxine sits back down. Mom calls out from the kitchen. One of these days I'm going to try some of the recipes you gave Jade. You'll have to tell me how that goes, Maxine says. I'm still experimenting and learning. Learning what? How to cook? Mom peeks back into the living room. I'm good with salads, Maxine says, but everything else, nah. Mom laughs. She waves Maxine into the kitchen. Come on in here and let me show you a thing or two, she says. Mom and Maxine start cooking. I ask if I can help, but Mom says I need to finish my homework. So I sit at the table in the kitchen and practice new vocabulary, purposely saying it out loud, the words that pertain to cooking. To peel, pelar. To cut, cortar. To chop, picar. To add, agregar. To mix, mezclar, or to combine, combinar. The aroma from Mom's chopped herbs and sprinkled spices swims through the house. The pots are shaking to a boil. The oven is warming. I get Mom to try a few words. And while I am teaching Mom, she is teaching Maxine what a pinch of that and a dab of this means. While we wait for the food to cook, Mom adds in lessons on love and tells Maxine the remedy to a broken heart. Tells her how to move on. Mom looks at me, says, You paying attention? You'll need this one day. And that is where we'll stop for today. That was chapter 61. So we read chapter 54, I think. Yeah, chapter 54, through chapter 61 in Renee Watson's Piecing Me Together.